I know you care about what lands in your bank account each month, whether your doctor visits will stay covered, and whether food and housing costs will keep rising. When politics starts shifting, it can feel like your stability is at risk. A sudden resignation from Congress might sound like a headline that belongs in the political pages, but moments like this can ripple into the policies that protect your Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, SNAP, and even your tax bill. I want to walk you through what happened, why people in Washington are on edge, and what it could mean for you. I'll keep it clear, calm, and practical so you can feel informed and not overwhelmed. A high-profile member of Congress, Marjorie Taylor Greene, announced she's resigning. The announcement surprised a lot of people, and not only because of the name attached to it. Inside Congress, the immediate reaction was a wave of worry about morale and stability. You could almost hear the air go out of the room. Lawmakers quietly said morale is at a low point, and some even hinted more resignations could follow. When you hear that from people working on the inside, it's worth paying attention. Not because of the drama, but because of what it might mean for who controls the House of Representatives and how that affects the laws and budgets that touch your daily life. Let's slow down and draw a clear picture. The current House majority is thin. In a situation like that, even a small number of resignations or early retirements can change which party runs the chamber. If one party loses just a handful of seats or leaves too many vacancies unfilled for too long, the balance can flip before the next election. That would change committee chairs, which bills reach the floor, and how the budget talks are handled. It could influence everything from Social Security Administration staffing to Medicare oversight, from SNAP funding inside the Farm Bill to how aggressively Congress pushes or resists new rules that affect your out-of-pocket costs. I'm not saying your check vanishes tomorrow, but the people who set timelines, negotiate budgets, and decide what gets priority could change, and that can affect how smoothly things run. Part of what triggered the reaction wasn't only the resignation itself, but the context around it. Greene had been publicly at odds with the White House and with members of her own party over releasing a set of sensitive files. She joined a small group of Republicans to push a vote with Democrats against the White House's wishes. That move brought a strong public blowback. But people who follow these relationships closely say the disagreement over the files was likely the breaking point after months of drifting apart. There had already been tensions over immigration policy, technology industry influence, parts of the pandemic-era health response, and foreign policy choices. Think of it as a long train of disagreements finally pulling into the station. When a conflict like that goes public, it sends a message to everyone else in the party, and it can unsettle the day-to-day business of legislating. Greene then released a long resignation letter. In it, she accused both parties of being too influenced by corporate and global interests. She painted a picture of a Congress that is stuck, where ordinary people's lives don't improve no matter who's in charge. You don't have to agree with her to recognize why that message resonates for many. If your rent keeps climbing, groceries cost more, and medical bills never get easier, hearing a politician say the system is broken hits a nerve. The reaction inside Congress suggested that what she wrote wasn't just theater. Lawmakers described feeling ignored, sidelined, or pushed to choose loyalty tests over the work of fixing economic problems. That kind of frustration is the soil where more departures can grow, and when a majority is thin, the stakes are higher. There's another part of the story that got attention: timing. Greene set her resignation date for early January 2026, just after the 5-year mark that affects congressional retirement benefits. Now, let's be careful and accurate here, because there is a lot of confusion about this point. Members of Congress are part of the federal employee retirement system. Generally, you vest in a pension after 5 years of service, meaning you earn the right to a pension in the future. But vesting is not the same as getting a full pension right away. The size of any pension depends on years of service and your highest average pay, and there are age requirements. Most members cannot draw those benefits immediately if they're younger than the retirement age rules allow. In other words, if someone times their resignation right after hitting 5 years, that means they lock in eligibility to eventually receive a pension, not that they walk out the door with a large lifetime check the next day. People can look at that timing as practical or cynical, but the rule is the rule, and it applies to both parties. I'm telling you this because it's easy to hear a line like full pension after 5 years and get frustrated. The facts are more nuanced, and I want you to have the real picture. Now let's talk about why this matters beyond one name and one seat. Several Republicans have said privately that the party is going through something like an identity struggle. The coalition that once seemed tightly unified has fractures. The White House is pushing hard on executive power and moving quickly on big policy changes across immigration, tariffs, and the federal bureaucracy. That pace and approach can leave lawmakers feeling like they're being asked to salute rather than legislate. Some worry that the Speaker is giving too much ground to the executive branch and not protecting Congress's role. That's not my personal judgment. That's what members of Congress are telling reporters off the record. In plain terms, when the executive branch moves fast and Congress feels sidelined, the people's branch can struggle to do its job, debate, amend, and pass laws in a way that stands up over time. When that dynamic meets the reality outside Washington, the strain shows up in bank accounts and kitchen table budgets. Farmers who liked parts of the agenda face tariffs that make it harder to sell overseas. Small businesses that appreciated tax cuts worry about unpredictable regulatory swings. Some unions that liked certain trade protections are concerned about rising costs in other areas. If it sounds complicated, that's because it is. But for you, the bottom line is straightforward. If Congress is divided and distracted, and if the majority could flip with just a few vacancies, there's a greater chance of gridlock or sudden pivots. And those swings can influence the things you count on. Let me connect the dots to your benefits in a simple way. Social Security checks are not subject to annual appropriation in the way many programs are. They are paid out of trust funds. So no, a resignation does not switch off your payment. Even during previous funding fights and government shutdowns, Social Security kept paying benefits, though customer service and processing could slow down. That's important to remember. Your monthly payment is not political theater. It's based on law, and it continues unless Congress changes the law, which is a long process with a lot of hurdles and public debate. Medicare is also established in law. Your Part A hospital coverage and Part B outpatient coverage do not vanish because one member quits. That said, the way Medicare is administered, the staffing at call centers, the speed of appeals and prior authorizations, and the oversight of Medicare Advantage and Part D plans can be affected by budgets and policy choices Congress makes. If the House flips or if the majority hangs by a thread, committees overseeing health programs may launch new investigations or change priorities. That might pressure plans and hospitals to cut certain practices, which could benefit you. It could also cause short-term confusion during open enrollment periods if new rules or guidance arrive late. It's not a reason to panic. It's a reason to stay tuned for clear instructions each year, especially in the fall. SNAP and Medicaid are more directly affected by annual budgeting and state-federal coordination. Changes to SNAP work requirements, time limits, or waivers often get debated inside the Farm Bill or budget agreements. Medicaid enrollment rules and waiver flexibilities depend on both federal guidance and state choices. In a period of political strain, you might see temporary extensions, short-term bills to keep funding going, or stalled negotiations that push deadlines right up to the edge. That's when mail gets important, and missing a letter can cost you coverage. I'll give you simple steps in a moment to stay safe. Another layer of this story is the criticism that both parties spend too much time on loyalty tests and not enough time on everyday economics. Whether you like or dislike the person making that claim, it's fair to say many Americans feel that way. They want someone to focus on jobs, prices, rent, medical care, and food. If Congress becomes even more divided, you'll hear louder arguments and see fewer bills with practical benefits. That can slow down help for people struggling with higher prices or delays in services. Again, your core benefits don't evaporate, but the supports around them and the improvements you were hoping to see might move slower. So what should you do right now to protect yourself and your family without getting lost in the noise? Start with your Social Security. Make sure your address, phone number, and direct deposit information are current. If you use an online account, check your My Social Security account to confirm your details. If you don't use computers, call Social Security directly or visit your local office, and bring a photo ID and any recent letters. Double-check your payment schedule so you know when to expect your deposit. If you receive Social Security based on your own record, your payment date is usually the second, third, or fourth Wednesday of the month, depending on your birthday. If you receive SSI, those payments generally come on the first of the month, with a shift to the prior business day when the first falls on a weekend or holiday. Keeping a small cushion in your checking account, even a few days' worth of bills, can help you ride out a holiday bump or a bank delay. If your check doesn't arrive by the expected date, wait 3 mailing days before calling Social Security. Banks and federal payment systems sometimes take a day to settle. If you get Medicare, mark the important enrollment windows on a paper calendar. The annual open enrollment for Medicare Advantage and Part D runs October 15th through December 7th. There is also the Medicare Advantage open enrollment period from January 1 through March 31, which lets you make certain changes if you're already in a Medicare Advantage plan. Special enrollment periods apply after life events like moving or losing employer coverage. If you are unsure which plan saves you money, call 1-800-MEDICARE and ask to be connected with your state health insurance assistance program. They provide free, unbiased counseling. If you can use the internet with help from a family member, Medicare's Plan Finder tool lets you enter your medications to compare total costs. Many people qualify for extra help with Part D drug costs. That program expanded in 2024 for people with modest incomes, but you still need to apply or be deemed eligible. Ask 1-800-MEDICARE to check your status or talk to Social Security if you think your income qualifies you. Lower premiums and copays can save hundreds of dollars a year, and that matters when every dollar counts. If you're on Medicaid, open every piece of mail from your state health department. States are still redetermining eligibility for many people after the pandemic. If you missed a form and lost coverage, ask for reconsideration as soon as you realize it. Many states allow you to submit the missing paperwork within a set window and get reinstated without a new application. If your coverage truly ended because your income rose, ask about other options such as a zero premium plan on the marketplace with extra savings if you are close to retirement income levels. If you have both Medicare and Medicaid, make sure both agencies have your correct address and that your Medicare Savings Program application is current. That program can pay your Part B premium if you qualify, which puts extra cash back into your Social Security deposit. For SNAP, your benefits continue as long as you still meet your state's rules and complete recertification on time. Again, open your mail and answer calls from your local office. If your state uses an online system you don't like, ask a family member to help or go in person. Keep pay stubs, Social Security award letters, rent receipts, utility bills, and medical expense records in one place. For older adults, certain medical costs can sometimes be deducted, which can increase your SNAP amount. If something changes with your household or income, report it within the time your state requires. That keeps you in good standing and prevents overpayments that could lead to a future reduction. If your state changes its waiver policy or work rules, you have the right to written notice and information about how to respond. If you're worried about taxes, remember that your Social Security benefit may be taxable depending on your combined income. You'll receive a 1099 SSA each January for your records. If you're on Medicare Advantage or Marketplace coverage, keep any 1095 forms for proof of insurance. Filing early and accurately helps you get refunds or settle balances sooner. If there are federal budget delays, the IRS still processes returns, but backlogs can happen. You can use a trusted tax preparer or a free tax clinic if your income qualifies. Never respond to phone calls demanding immediate payment by gift card or wire. The IRS and Social Security never call and threaten to arrest you. Hang up and call the official number listed on their website or in the phone book. Let's come back to the bigger picture. If more members of Congress resign or step aside early, the House could change hands before the next election. Or the majority could cling to a tiny edge while morale sinks. Either way, you can expect more friction, more government by short-term deals, and more last-minute votes to keep the lights on. That stops some worst-case scenarios, but it rarely delivers the clear, stable policy changes that make your life easier. There is also the possibility that one side or the other uses the pressure to push through a few big items. That could include changes that reduce drug costs, strengthen oversight of Medicare Advantage, or tighten rules on pharmacy benefit managers. It could also include attempts to attach work requirements or cost-sharing changes to programs like SNAP or Medicaid. Which path wins out will depend on the numbers on the board and the willingness of moderates to work across the aisle. Here's what's steady in the middle of the noise. Your right to a written notice before your benefits change remains. Your right to appeal a decision within a clear deadline remains. Your right to have a representative help you with paperwork remains. If any agency says your benefit will be reduced or stopped, they have to tell you why in writing, and you have a right to challenge it. Keep every letter. Write the date you received it at the top. If you call an agency, jot down the date, the person's name, and what they told you. If you need help, turn to a legal aid office, your local area agency on aging, or a trusted nonprofit. These steps sound simple, but in a messy political season, organized paperwork is one of the best protections you have. I also want to say a word about scams. Every time there's a big political story, scammers use it to scare people. They might claim your Social Security will be cut unless you pay a fee, or that your Medicare number needs to be verified immediately because of new laws. Hang up. Do not share your number. The government does not ask for payment by gift cards, wire transfers, or cryptocurrency. If someone leaves a voicemail saying your benefits will stop, delete it and call the official agency number yourself. Better yet, call a family member and ask them to sit with you while you make the call so you feel supported. Now, a few thoughts on the path ahead. Some people think Greene's departure could be an early move to prepare for a future campaign. Others think it's a sign that more members are ready to walk away from a Congress they see as broken. Both could be true. What matters for you is not the personalities, but the consequences. If the House flips early, committees will change leadership, and the legislative agenda will shift. Oversight hearings might pivot to different topics. Budget talks may either pick up speed or jam up, depending on whether there's a desire to prove competence before the next election. If the majority remains but morale stays low, expect smaller bills, more symbolic votes, and a lot of noise that doesn't change much in your daily life. In both scenarios, your benefits remain rooted in law, but the speed and quality of service you experience can improve or worsen with funding and focus. It's also worth acknowledging that some policy ideas on the table could help older adults and people on fixed incomes, no matter which party advances them. There is bipartisan interest in lowering certain drug costs and in reining in middlemen who drive up prices. There is bipartisan interest in improving customer service at the Social Security Administration, which has faced staffing shortages and backlogs. And there is bipartisan awareness that food insecurity among seniors is rising. These areas can still move forward even when politics is tense. They require enough members to set aside personal fights and say yes to practical fixes. That's not naive. It's happened before in noisy times, and it can happen again. So here's my practical checklist for the next few months put in ordinary language. Keep your contact information updated with Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, and any state benefits. Watch your mail weekly. Put your payment dates on a calendar. Keep a small buffer in your bank account if you can, even $50, to cover a day's delay. During Medicare open enrollment, compare your plan rather than auto-renewing, especially if your medications or doctors changed. Ask about extra help for drug costs and Medicare savings programs for Part B premiums. For SNAP, collect and save receipts and medical bills you pay out of pocket. They can sometimes raise your benefit. For Medicaid, return renewal forms quickly and ask for help if you're confused. If you receive a notice you don't understand, ask someone you trust to read it with you. And remember, you have a right to appeal. And while we're here, remember this about Social Security timing. If your birthday is on the 1st through the 10th, your check usually arrives on the 2nd Wednesday of the month. If it's on the 11th through the 20th, it's the 3rd Wednesday. If it's on the 21st through the 31st, it's the 4th Wednesday. SSI is generally on the 1st of the month, with early payment when that falls on a weekend or holiday. If you ever worry that a political fight will stop your payment, take a breath. The system is designed to keep those payments going. The risks are more about slow service or delayed responses from busy offices, not about checks being canceled without a new law. Let me close with this. Political stories come and go every week, but this one matters because it hints at deeper stress in the system. One resignation will not rewrite Social Security. It will not cancel Medicare. But it could be part of a shift that changes who sets the agenda in the House. And that can shape budgets, oversight, and timelines in ways you will feel. You don't have to follow every twist to stay safe. You only need to do the simple things that keep your benefits secure and your information current, and to check in during key seasons like Medicare open enrollment or SNAP recertification. If you keep your papers in order and ask for help when you need it, you'll be ahead of the curve no matter who is at the podium. I'll keep watching how this unfolds and explain any real changes to the laws and rules that affect your wallet. If you found this helpful, share it with someone who worries every time the news turns noisy. Staying informed is the best antidote to anxiety. And if you have questions about your situation, write them down and reach out to your local Social Security office, Medicare at 1-800-MEDICARE, or a trusted local agency. Nothing I've said here is individualized legal or financial advice. It's based on publicly available information, and my goal is to help you understand your rights and avoid being blindsided by government changes. Policies can shift and timelines can move, but your rights to notice and appeal are steady. We'll take it one step at a time together.